Greetings, the internet. I am Eric Grooms, the film score fanatic, here with a review for Ford versus Ferrari, or Ford v Ferrari, or as the foreigners know, Le Mans 66, because here in America, we don't know what Le Mans is, so you can't title it that. Ford versus Ferrari definitely sells better in the American market. I don't begrudge them at all for doing that. But anyway, I digress. Moving on to the film. This is a movie directed by James Mangold, who is most notable for Walk the Line before he became the ipso facto director of Wolverine movies. Excuse me. He did The Wolverine, which was like the third, I guess, Wolverine main movie. Well, maybe I guess it's the second, like, just Wolverine, a central character film. But then he went on to do Logan, which was a huge success. So that gives you an idea of this guy's directing chops. This is obviously more of a historical drama, and I will say right off the top that, as with most historical dramas, I prefer to not know the history behind it, just generally so that I can appreciate the film for what it is. If I go into a film knowing exactly what happened in history, then one, I'll be comparing the film to what actually happened, and if it's accurate in that way. But also, I'll already know what's going to happen. So it was nice going into this not knowing exactly how things shook out in history. The film, I'm not going to give away the whole plot and everything like that, but the beginning of the movie starts with Henry Ford II coming into a factory, a Ford factory, and basically shutting the whole thing down and making this big display about how if people don't come up with the next big thing, they're all going to lose their jobs. So that really paints the picture that I guess Ford was in pretty dire straits in the 60s, early 60s ish time period. I don't really know. I'm not a car history buff or anything like that. I'm sure the motorheads out there understand the context. Is Motorhead a thing? I know it's like a band, but are people called Gearhead? That's probably what it is. The gearheads out there, I'm sure, understand the context of what was going on in the car industry at the time, for Ford to seem to be but in the movie, like, for a general audience, to me it was very abrupt and it didn't really paint the picture, so that throughout the rest of the movie, like, I understood the context probably was that Ford as a company was in danger, but like they never really explain why they did this. So it ends up seeming to be just a marketing ploy for the most part, and that marketing ploy, in case you didn't know from the trailers and whatever else you may have seen about this movie, was to try and build a car that could compete with Ferrari in this world-renowned race, the Le Mans race in France. And something that I didn't know until I watched the movie was that it's a 24-hour race. So that's pretty cool. That's like a kicking it up a notch in so many ways. I guess I like I said, I had no idea. I knew the Le Mans was like this crazy, it's not on a track, it's on street. It's like a street race in this, little village or whatever, in France. But man, it being 24 hours straight of racing, that's a pretty cool thing. And from an engineering standpoint, it's pretty cool to think about a car being pushed to its limits for that long. And that's all shown in the film, I think, to great success. The movie, it's somewhat, it's about the butting of the heads between the talent and the money, which brings me to what I should have said earlier. Our main stars of the film and our main characters are Carroll Shelby, who was a legendary sport car designer, and he was a racer in his own right. He is played by Matt Damon, and he enlists the help in designing the car, but also driving the car, the help of Ken Miles, who was a British race car driver, and that character is played by Christian Bale, and they both. It's a pretty a grand performance from both of the actors in this film. I could easily see both of them being nominated for awards for their individual parts in the movie. But yeah, those are the two like creative people, the as I call it, the talent of the show, who are butting heads with the suits throughout the movie. So that's kind of part of the story. The other part, it's kind of one of those standard, one guy plays by the rules set by the suits because he has to, and then the other guy is a loose cannon. It's that kind of character dynamic that we've all come to recognize from Hollywood filmmaking. One of the suits is Lee Iacocca. The character is Lee Iacocca, who was a real person. I believe he went on to be the president of Chrysler or General Motors, maybe. I remember hearing that name as like a big name in automobiles. But he's played by John Barenthal, who is always fun to watch on the screen, whether he's kicking ass in some way or just playing a guy. Like, he's just so magnetic with his personality, or at least his persona, I should say. But all of those people involved. Josh Lucas plays the kind of more menacing character. I don't think I'm spoiling anything. You catch on pretty quick that he's the a-hole of the group. But from that standpoint, it's a pretty cookie cutter script, I feel. But the film, I think, soars when it's about the relationship between Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles, and when it focuses on Ken Miles and his relationship with the car. The racing scenes are heart-stopping. Like, these cars go 200 plus miles an hour, and I've never been in a car that's going that fast. I can't imagine what it would feel like. We get a glimpse of what that might feel like, and you see it in the trailer, so I'm not ruining anything, but there's a moment in the film when Carroll Shelby pulls in Henry Ford II, the CEO of this giant company, and kind of puts him in a dangerous situation. I don't know if that really happened, but it was a great moment in the film where Carroll, who's not scared, and he knows what he's doing. He's in control of this race car, but he is going pedal to the metal, and it just overwhelms Henry Ford II, who starts weeping. And like I said, you've seen that in the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away from that. I won't give you the total context of how he reacts to that in the end. But it is a really sweet moment, but it helps to illustrate the nerves of steel, the ice in their veins. Like, people who do this for a living are incredibly brave people. So you appreciate that fact, I think, in this movie. I think they do a good job of illustrating how uniquely perfect for their role these kinds of people are. Not anybody can do it, but vice versa, they can't do a lot of other things because they're just different people. But yeah, the racing sequences are breathtaking. This is one of those movies that the moment I got out on the road in my own car, you know, I obviously can tell the difference between reality and fantasy. But when you first start driving, there's a moment where you've gotten so used to watching it on screen that I kind of want to just hit the gas. You know, your eyes start to see the road differently, and the other cars on the road look just a little bit different. I see all these red brake lights and whatnot, and I think of them differently. Like, how can I move up in position between these people on the highway? So that's always a fun feeling for me, where you have to kind of draw yourself back. Like, nope, that was fantasy. I cannot do that on the highway right now. Not only would that be very dangerous, especially when it is legitimately raining, in the situation I was in, it also would be extremely illegal. And thirdly, my car would probably fall apart because it is not a souped up sports car. It is not a GT40, which was specifically designed to go extremely fast for a really long time. You know, this is all historic, so you can go and look up what happened in the end. I won't give any of that away here. But it is a pretty cool story, and I think they tell it pretty well in this film. You know, I don't know if I would give it 2 thumbs up, but I definitely give it at least 1 thumb up. Let's say I give 1 thumb up for each performance of Matt Damon and Christian Bale. So they each get a thumb up. I guess that gives the film 2 thumbs up. Take from that what you will. It's definitely worth catching in the theater, especially if you're into cars. This is going to be quite thrilling for you, and everyone else who maybe is not. It might give you a little more appreciation for the science, the physics, the ingenuity behind it all. So yeah, I recommend it. It's definitely going to be up for some awards. I'm sure of that. So if you're a person who feels like you got to catch everything that's going to be nominated, you probably might as well go ahead and catch this, because it'll probably be in contention come award season. So yeah. Did you see the movie? What did you think? Do you like my opinions? Are they wrong? As always, comment below. Let me know what you think. And like and subscribe, especially if you want to hear my other reviews of other shows and movies as they come out. Unfortunately, I'm not at a point where I am getting invited to pre-screenings, so I don't get to review things ahead of time like who I call the pros get to do it. So, you know, that's going to be the struggle for a while until I kind of get my footing, and maybe I can kind of compete with the big boys a little bit better. But that's in the future. Hopefully we get there at some point, and I hope you are along with me for the ride as we get there. And I appreciate any and all support along the line. So I have been Eric Grooms, the Film Score Fanatic, and I will see you on the next review.